Can we double our thrift savings plan account in the next 10 years? Interesting question, one that came from a married couple, federal employees who are coming up on about 10 years from their planned retirement date. They said, Justin, can we double this thing in the next 10 years? And I think it's really interesting from a math standpoint. I want to dig into those numbers. What does it take? Does it actually work out? Can we do better? And what goes into that? But first, I want to provide some context on this situation because I think the financial planning, retirement planning is very relevant for what a lot of us are going to be working through. We try to solve these retirement planning scenarios. Okay. So we know this couple, they tell me they need $15,000 a month in today's dollars when they retire in 10 years. That's their goal for monthly income. They want to travel. They want to support kids. They want to support organizations that they care about. That's what's important to them, to have that lifestyle and have a successful retirement in their mind, their vision. So one of our very first steps is going to be adjusting that $15,000 for inflation over the next 10 years. We know inflation can take a bite out of purchasing power. So let's take a look at kind of how that might look in 10 years. So we said we need $15,000 times 10 years, and we're going to assume inflation of 3.5%. I think that's a reasonable long-term number to work on. I know it's been higher than that recently, but so if we adjust that, we're looking at $21,000 and change. That's kind of our income need, okay? So we're working with 21K. We know this couple, they're federal employees. So they're gonna have first basic annuities coming in when they retire. It happens to be at age 62. We've run the numbers for them. We've adjusted for salary increases, et cetera. And it looks like it's gonna be around $11,000 a month in first pension income. They're also eligible for Social Security at age 62. They tell me they don't want to take it because they've seen the estimates, they've seen the increases that can come within that program by waiting until full retirement age at 67 or beyond. So we're going to have a gap of, 21,000 minus the 11,000 gives us a $10,000 gap for at least those gap years of 62 to 67, maybe longer. So we're going to need to come up with this amount from retirement accounts, investment accounts, other assets. They know how the 4% rule works. This is a savvy couple. So they came to me and said, Justin, can we double our TSP in the next 10 years? We've got 1.3 million in our TSP. And if we're able to double that thing, that puts us at 2.6. And if we limit our withdrawals to 4%, we're going to take 104,000 a year or 8,600 a month. That gets us pretty close to the $10,000 that we need. So that's where the question came from. And it's not just about doubling the TSP, it's about increasing all of your assets so that then they can generate more income potential for you in the future. That's the whole goal here. Their situation also is a little bit more involved. So we're going to be doing some tax diversification strategies, both pre and post retirement, so that we can optimize this thing. We don't want to just be pulling all the money from the TSP account. We want to be building other assets. For the sake of this conversation, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to try to double this TSP account in 10 years. Is it possible? So are you familiar with the rule of 72? It's a simplified investing formula a lot of folks, a lot of advisors will reference when we're talking about how long it takes to double an investment. Time to double equals 72 divided by your investment rate of return. Okay. So if we say, we're going to invest for growth, but at the same time, we want to be a little conservative. Let's say we make 7.2%, just to keep these numbers super round, 7.2% a year. We divide that into 72. That gives us 10 years to double. Okay. Answered our question, right? So we need to make 7.2% a year in order to double this account within the next 10 years. Now, of course, you can play with the numbers on this thing. If you make less of a return, it's going to take longer to double. If you make more, it's going to take a shorter time frame to double that investment, whatever it is. But what we want to do here is a little more ambitious than just letting our TSP money sit there, just letting our investment money sit there. We want to still make contributions because we know when you're 10 years out from retirement, those are peak earning years for most people. So we're able to contribute substantial amounts to retirement accounts. And again, doubling something might just be an arbitrary point. What we're really after is maximizing our growth potential over a 10-year period. So what I want to do, I want to look at the impact making contributions has. So I want to look at two examples. I want to take the current example, the 1.3 million, continuing to make investments there. But I also want to look at an example where there's about $250,000 in assets within the thrift savings plan and see the impact making contributions has, plus making a decent rate of return over time. Now, the 7.2% rate of return, that's a reasonable rate of return for an equity-based portfolio. Okay, you are gonna have to take risk to get that. So that's not just set it in the G or the F fund and hope for 7.2%. You're gonna need to invest for growth. And it gets a little tricky, right? So we're not gonna dig into this in detail today, but you do need to take in consideration reducing the amount of risk within your portfolio as you get closer to needing to take income from that portfolio. It's not necessarily just the fact you're retiring. If you're going to retire and you don't need any income from a portfolio, you can still take a decent amount of risk. But it's when you start drawing that portfolio down, the risk and the sequence of returns plays more of a role there. Anyway, little sidetrack, but it's important for the context of this conversation. So let's go ahead and look at these two examples. The first one I want to dig into is the $250,000 TSP portfolio, impact making various contributions. So $250,000, 10-year period, we're going to make 7%. That's our targeted rate of return. And if you're younger, we're going to target something higher, but bear with me for the sake of the example. If you contribute $0, you're going to double your money. Rule 72, 500,000 in assets at the end of that 10-year period. If you contribute 15K, so you're not quite ready to max out your TSP at the 22.5, which it is for this year, but you contribute 15K, you're going to get to, it's a big jump, 719,771 within that 10-year period. Now, if you do max out, let's say you contribute $22,500 a year, you're going to get to $826,949. So even bigger jump. So impact contributions can have. And then if you are over 50, so if you're 50 to 60 and you're just sucking money away with the extra catch up, 30K a year, you're going to go ahead and get really close to that $1 million mark. You're going to be 935,127 in assets. Okay. So you can kind of see, yes, it is possible to double your money within a 10-year period at a reasonable rate of return. Now, if you make, and the market doesn't participate here, obviously all bets are off. But all right, let's go ahead and take a look at our couple and see how the math works out for them by making contributions for the next 10 years. They're starting with 1.3 million. And over that 10-year period, we're going to make the same 7% rate of return. Now, if they don't contribute anything, we know it's going to be 2.6 million approximately. Rule of 72. But if they're able to both contribute $15,000 a year, so they're making $30,000 in contributions, now that account grows to 3.045 million. Okay, so a little over 3 million there. Now, if they're able to both contribute the max amount, 22.5 a year, that 1.3 million grows to 3.26 million. And lastly, if they're both able to max out, let's say they are over 50, so they're 52, 60K a year, they're going to get to 3.477 million. Now, if you take that 3.477 million times 4%, we're going to get to 139,000 a year change. That on a monthly basis is 11,583, above their mark of 10,000 of what they needed based on our previous notes here. From those examples, you can see just how powerful investing well and making contributions to your account can be over a 10-year period. And we know how fast time moves. 10 years is not that long of a period of time. You can make significant, impactful change. You can increase the income potential from your portfolio, give yourself options down the road, whatever it is you want to create in the future. All right, so you might think you're playing from behind, but we can see the impact you can make over a 10-year period. It's significant, so stay with it, make those contributions, invest well. One last thing I'm going to point out is a big mistake we see a lot of people make is when they get to their target, the portfolio value target for whatever it is, the income they think they want to generate, they just kind of shut things down, right? So you go super conservative. That can be as detrimental to your portfolio as being too aggressive because it's not going to allow you to keep up, right? We're still going to need some rate of growth within the portfolio. You want to make sure that's tailored to your risk tolerance, what your goals for income are. But at the same time, you can't just shut it down and go completely into a cash position or something like that with all of your assets, okay? So it needs to have the right mix for your situation. And also keep in mind, there's planning work to do, investment planning work to do when you're in this 10-year period, especially if you're coming up at the end of that period needing to take income. So you do want to have the right investment mix because sequence of returns, volatility will play a role there. And it's something that you need to consider and protect your money you've worked hard for against. I hope you found this useful. If you have questions, if you'd like to talk about retirement planning for your situation, be happy to have a conversation with you. Appreciate if you give my channel a like and look forward to talking with you next time.